Member, Senator Grassley.
My conversation is going to be with Dr. Folkander. My Democrat colleagues talk a big game about making Wall Street pay their fair share. Yet many of the proposals we've heard discussed today, from taxing carried interest, the same as ordinary income, to imposing financial transactions tax, these have all been around for years, if not decades. Yet Democrats chose not to enact these proposals when they had a 60 vote majority during the Obama administration, or the last Congress when they rammed through 2 reconciliation bills on purely a partisan basis. Isn't it true that many of the tax proposals that we've heard about today haven't been enacted because Democrats' own failure to enact when they had that opportunity?
Yes, Senator, they could have done it through reconciliation, and they did not.
Okay. Won't the policies Democrats chose to enact as part of their unnamed Inflation Reduction Act overwhelmingly benefit large corporations as well as banks and even private equity firms?
Yes, there are a number of tax credit provisions and spending in the IRA that are going to go towards large industries and private equity firms, yes.
And as we've heard today, many on the left argue that unsustainable fiscal outlook can be solved through tax hikes on the wealthy and large corporations and Wall Street. As a result, the middle class has nothing to worry about, according to them. However, at the Budget Committee hearing last year, the majority witness, Bruce Bartlett, let slip the truth by saying this, quote, "I think we should raise taxes on the wealthy, but we're going to have to continually raise taxes on the middle class," end of quote. Isn't it true that this tax and spend agenda will ultimately require tax hikes on the middle class?
At these levels of spending, there is nowhere near enough wealth amongst the top 1% or the wealthy to cover all of those expenses and bring the budget into long-term fiscal sustainability.
The majority's witnesses discussed imposing a financial transaction tax, which is effectively an excise tax on every stock and bond transaction. Given that most Americans own stock and that more than 2/3 of the families participate in retirement plans, wouldn't a financial transaction tax hurt savers regardless of their income level?
Yes, they will get passed on to investors and savers, including investment through 401k plans.
Proponents of financial transaction tax argues it would promote market stability. Has that been the experience of countries who have implemented such a tax?
It is not, Senator. So when Sweden implemented one, they saw a reduction in trading volume, which is generally bad for market stability. You want to maintain liquidity through trading.
Okay, as you discussed in your testimony, Americans have been ravaged by high inflation, and the other side continues to propose tax increase after tax increase. Since the 2020 campaign, President Biden has pledged not to raise taxes on Americans earning less than $400,000. However, because of inflation, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it takes $480,000 today to have the same buying power of $400,000 in the summer of 2020. Yet President Biden hasn't updated his $400,000 pledge. Isn't this another example of how President Biden's tax and spending agenda is a broken promise?
It is, because a lot of these tax provisions are not adjusted for inflation. Some in the tax code are, but this $400,000 has not, which means that over time it will hit the upper middle class.
Yeah. And in my few minutes, I'm going to make this comment about people talking about raising the marginal tax rate. I used to have a chart, and I don't suppose I've shown it for 10 or 15 years, but you can go back to World War II when we had 93% marginal tax rates. And you can go all the way through the 1960s, or even up until the 80s, when it was still 70%, I believe, or became 70%. But if you looked at what the income coming into the public, it was pretty steady for that whole 30 or 40 years, which tells me that you can raise the marginal tax rate as high as you want to, but people that have the ability to make decisions that they're going to work for the government or not work for the government are deciding they're only going to pay X number of dollars and you're not going to get another penny out of me regardless of how high the marginal tax rate is, because they got the ability to hire the people to make every tax advantage so they get their taxes down to where they're willing to work maybe for 40%, like today, 42% that they pay in. It's just ridiculous to think you can raise marginal tax rates to 93% and you're going to get people stupid enough to pay 93% of their income taxes, so they're working for nothing. I give up.
No, you don't. You're going to be always fighting. You just yield. Senator Lujan, followed by